I do not
Hello.
consent.
This meeting is being recorded. Welcome to, I believe now, session 22 of Call of Cthulhu Down Darker Trails slash a little bit of uh, uh, that other game and Deadlands. And we're going to do a little bit of a recap here because it's been a while since some of the early stuff happened. And we want to make sure that everybody's kind of uh, up to date insofar as in their mind. So, um, activating the sort of way back when machine a little bit, and uh, we opened up with a cast of 5 characters, being buddies, mostly enjoying playing cards and a little bit of drinking. Uh, with Walt being the press person, and uh, Christoph, who's not here right at the moment, with being a sort of a tracker slash sometimes bounty hunter, and with Vance being in a similar trade, we'll put it that way, and Dr. Gabriel Trout being a doctor, um, and Gustav being a bon vivant man about town.
A near do
Uh,
well.
and the good doctor got some unpleasant slash pleasant news. Unpleasant, unfortunate, one of his relatives passed away, an uncle he knew back east, and got informed that he was going to be acquiring a bit of money, not enough to retire wealthily, but maybe bump him from middle class to upper middle class if money spent wisely. Uh, but he also inherited 2 pieces of property. One in the town of Coldwater, this taking place in 1876, Kansas, in Coldwater, which is south of Dodge City. Uh, so the property in the town was the first bank of the town. The bank had moved on to a larger facility. And he also inherited a chunk of property a couple miles out of town, basically a farmstead with some land around it. While sort of starting to inspect his newly found piece of property, a scream rang out in the night, not too terribly far from where I lived, and well, usually when there was a scream of that type of scream, it usually means somebody's hurt. So the party raced to the Gem Saloon and got rather quickly escorted upstairs, where they found sort of a horrific scene of a desert flower, as it were, as we're trying to call them now, um, being sort of cast covered in blood, and her entertainment or person who she was entertaining um, dead on the floor. A little further investigation. The fellow was sliced up badly, or very well, depending on your point of view, with some very sharp knives, and a strange black powder was found on the windowsill. And the hysterical lady um, was brought to Dr. Trout's office, and during the examination and such, a sort of disgusting sort of thing came out of her, with barbs and such. Sort of reminded everybody of a larvae or something. Characters quickly shot the heck out of it. Um,
I think
and
while the rest of us were busy putting our hands down to our gun holsters, was it
yeah,
one of the
in
guys
like slow
blew it into
motion, except
pieces?
for the other 2 were actually at normal speed. Um, and uh, basically shot the heck out of it, to which at that point it turned into sort of a black gooey mess. Samples were taken, as well as sort of a quill, almost like a porcupine quill, but hollow, um, which the doctor found actually a little bit. He stabbed himself with an errant quill that was in the patient's throat. Um, while that was happening, Christopher and others were outside trying to establish how the attacker got into the crib of the gem and started tracking a um, horse feet prints that were not shod, led the pathway out to Boot Hill, the cemetery of Coldwater. Um, and while all this was going on, of course, the sheriff is trying to round up a posse to hopefully go after this villainous murderer. And while that was going on, Al Swearingen, the owner and proprietor of the gem, knowing the party being of an interesting skill set that has not established itself as being particularly set in one groove or another of the town, hired the group to go and investigate rumors about a mine that was not operational, but rumors that it was perhaps being claim jumped, and this somehow ran against Al's morals. Very gray moral person. Perhaps ran against some business interests of his as well. So the party basically accepted both Al's offer and to be in the posse. Um, and very little sleep was gathered that night. Some weapons were obtained with a little bit of money that Al forwarded. Uh, Horses and some riding gear and such was obtained. A little bit of sleep was had, and the first perhaps inklings of something else going wrong in the town, as some of the characters are heavy sleepers, some of the other characters supposedly having terrible dreams. Um, and these states seem to start to change as the following days progress. Also, some interesting conversations with the um, groundskeeper for the cemetery were had, and in that conversation, um, characters gleaned a little bit of information concerning some peculiarities with also the Undertaker, just being a peculiar man, and that um, I say this was sort of an offhand thing, but some concerns were brought up around this time concerning how well the dead are staying dead in Boot Hill. So the party goes riding off, and lots of rolls and such were made insofar as tracking the horse, which led them to the town of Wirt. And at this point, the posse is split into two groups. The other posse members following up in local farmsteads and such like that. But our group stayed in Wirt and found. Well, why don't we let you all describe more or less in sort of a brief notation? Vance, what did you all find in Wirt?
Oh, when we first came into Wart, some of us came around the side. Others went straight down the main road because we saw some horses that were tied up. As we got closer, we found that one of the horses was had blood on it. The horses looked like they had been ridden rough. And we started investigating the different places like the general store, the saloon, and everyone we found there had been murdered. Everyone, the most disturbing part was that out of these people, as they were murdered, they all had that look of surprise on their face, or disbelief, which was their death shroud, if you want to call it that. And each one was missing a body part, whether it be a right arm, a left leg, a torso, a head. It was actually quite disturbing. All the way down to the daughter of the owners of the general store.
Yeah, it was a general store. Yeah.
Yeah, had been found that way. Quite a gruesome sight. But the oddest thing we found was in the saloon, which I believe Walter took a great interest in.
Maybe a little too much.
So after finding the six dismembered persons, and really nobody else in the town, at least at the time, whether they fled or whether that was it for the town, you get the impression there was probably more people in the town. They were just perhaps luckily just not present at the time. The other thing you had noticed was sort of a strange phenomena with fire in some of the potbelly ovens or stoves, I guess they'd be called, where the stoves were cold, but clearly very recent fire activity had been in the stoves, but no, they hadn't been doused with water or anything. And after finding the 6 dismembered bodies, you go into the saloon and in effect find a large ritualized arcanic symbol in some sort of dust, or perhaps never really determined what the markings were made of. It wasn't carved into the wood though, but it was a 12-pointed star with candles on 6 of the 12 points. Candles seem to be mixed with something non-standard in candles, and the good reporter started making a sketch of these symbols and arcana, and was affected.
A very detailed sketch.
Yes, very, very, very detailed sketch of it, and was somehow affected by this symbology. And Mark, do you recall any specifics of what happened?
Not particularly, because I pretty much became semi-conscious, and don't really remember much. I have a really nice drawing, and then it's just like line draws off the page, because whatever it was, I stared too intently at it until I lost consciousness, which is not good. That's what I remember, at least.
I somewhat recall you hearing voices while you were in that catatonic
Oh wow,
state.
it was a long time ago. I'd have to really find my Wayback Notes. Sorry, you nudged me and I barely got a ping on my radar. Sorry.
That's okay. So in word, while unconscious, the Walter had some visions. Side view of a chrome .45 revolver with a white handle, clutched by an older man's hand, and heard a series of words in a deep voice. Contact, chaos, consume, power, founders. The gun slowly rotated to him as these words continued on. Hunger, translate, soon, profit, protect, first, document, The gun appears to almost fired at him as he heard the last few words. Recover. Question. The image disappears. Mentally, you formed a question. Who are you? One reply came back to you. Benefactor. At which point you were awoken.
Check my notes. Thank
These
you.
words might start making sense to you all now. Or at least some of them. Anyway, so awoken, the chase continued onward. About midway to the town of Etna, you received some bad news that the second posse's demise
Oh, my notes, by the way.
came later. But you make it into the town of Etna. You meet a priest, and you meet the town mayor and the proprietor of the saloon and the proprietor of a bed and breakfast and proprietor of, again, the general store. And it turns out that the proprietor of the general store has been enlightening since then. And soon you went up to, and continuing to track in a couple different ways, up to a mine not too terribly far away from the town. This mine was given a name, the Craven Mine, and you found a strange conical pit, and some more terrible critters came out of it. Dr. Trout, would you like to describe what happened at the pit?
When we were trying to burn the bodies that were in there, that was when that happened. That's what you're talking about?
Well, first you wanted to kill the creatures that were coming out of the pit.
Didn't that happen while we were dumping oil in the bodies?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we figured that whatever was in there wasn't a good Christian thing to do to the bodies. So we decided to torch them instead of going down there, because going down there didn't seem like a real healthy idea. Although later on, one of us had not me, but one of us had the courage to go down there. So these things started coming out of the. They were like burrowing out of the ground around us. It wasn't just, they weren't coming out of exclusively out of the pit, right? And there were more of those spiky, sluggy things.
Yeah.
Some things came out of the pit, some things came out of the ground.
Yeah, so they moved through the earth and just came out, and there was a deputy was injured. I remember backing away and shooting. So, and finally then there was but in the middle of the fight we started to hear a noise from inside the mine, right?
Yeah, well, as the fight had largely resolved, you started hearing a sort of a thumping from the mine. Now you had, or Gustav and Christopher had done a preliminary scouting of the mine before the night before, I guess it was, and you all you knew that there was somebody in the mine, as well as you finally encountered and confirmed at least the steed of which the person or creature had been riding, and you determined that the steed was not normal in
Its
any way, shape, or form.
physiognomy was not of the earth.
Not to the earth. Muscles where
The
they shouldn't
muscles
be,
were-
structures.
They were
Under
arranged
the
in
skin.
an incorrect order and positioning.
That's correct. During the fight, the horse was still in the mouth of the cave. And once the strange creatures had been vanquished, you all pretty much headed directly into the cave. Gustav, do you want to pick it up from there?
Work emails. Can you repeat that last line when we were going into the cave?
Yeah. What happened when you started heading into the cave the second time for you?
Oh, the second time when I was alone. You mean the dawn of my poor judgment?
No. This would be the Craven mine, where everybody went in. You encountered the dark figure.
Oh, yes. So we were there with Christopher, and this was after he had heard the voice calling to him. And as we were venturing into the mine, was it then that as we got close to the creature, that it kind of blacked everything out?
Yeah, that was the second time you went into that mine. The first time was just you and Christopher. The second time with the whole party.
Right.
Again, hearing some sort of tapping of metal on metal.
You guys snuck past the horse, right?
Yeah. Well,
Actually, no.
no. Now that I think about it, no.
The horse had already left after it kicked me in the chest.
Right.
Never did find that horse.
How did that make
By the
you
way,
feel?
I did shoot it.
Yes.
So I didn't slow it down, but I did actually manage to drill it.
Did we throw dynamite at it, or was that just a discussion?
I believe that was the only time Walt Larrabee used his firearm effectively for this.
No, actually, I shot the thing in the mines.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So you all headed into the mine together, getting by the horse after the horse kicked and kind of ran off. Dark mine, classic, just a hard rock, quote unquote gold mine, and you kind of followed the noise, and indeed encountered a dark figure that was well out of proportion, even out of proportion to the horse, almost filling the corridor in its size. And then the lights just went inky black for a little bit. Bit of panic happens. And
Somebody fainted. Was that Walter?
It wasn't a feint. It was I lost consciousness.
That wasn't me. Was it me?
No, it was me.
Somebody did.
Oh, thank God.
His courage,
Somebody hit the
his
dirt.
courage
I
left
can't always be me passing out.
It can be.
because I went back with my smelling salts to revive him.
And it turned out that the creature basically did a U-turn, perhaps thinking that it got to the proverbial back of the herd where the slowest of the cattle would be. And then it got riddled by bullets, and one or two extraordinarily accurate bullets from
Yeah,
Christoph.
the famous sack shot.
Right,
Double
the
double
second
sack shot.
shot. And these bullets happened to hit with a great accuracy, and these turned out to be some special bullets that were handed to your group by
Yeah.
Mr. Elks, the proprietor of the general store in Etna.
So was there some kind of totem in the sack that we hit that controlled the creature's power? It's
It's
been a while.
like a medicine bag or something like that.
Yeah, it was sort of a
American-
large medicine-esque bag, and as bullets went into it, the creature seemed to have changed form to an extent, losing its incredibly sharp claws, and its armored exterior seemed to go sort of soft and jelly-like before it finally partially sort of disapparated and sort of fell into a gooky mess, leaving simply the bag left. But there was a conversation. Does anybody remember the conversation at all that happened before the battle?
He said something about leave the tribute or
You brought this on yourselves. It's unfortunate. It was necessary.
leave the tribute or something if you dare.
I don't recall that. Didn't we somebody speak to a ghost shortly after?
So that was the whiskey drinking ghost.
Whiskey.
Yeah.
that-
See if I actually have any notes on what was said.
That was before I was taking notes. Notes
That
are
was like-
recent.
That was like 2-3 days ago. How are we supposed to remember that part of it?
That's right. Just a short period of time ago. It's like 2 weeks. But yeah, before kind of the ultimate sort of fight there was sort of maybe not an exchange of information, but the figure did try to give options and in a way perhaps defend itself in a debate sort of fashion. Greg, now you can't find them now.
Not on that notebook. Checking the other notebook. Got too many notebooks. Wait, what was that?
If you want, I can read it back largely verbatim.
Yeah, go ahead, because all I'm finding is notes on people that I found.
All right. The voice, somewhat disembodied, rang out. The worms were only sent to keep this earth to what belongs of this earth. No intruders can be tolerated. They were only a warning to you to protect the earth, to protect the soul for the soul users. Go away. This has been regrettable, but necessary. To stop the greater evil from befalling the entire area. Had I not been followed, no more bloodshed would have been necessary to complete what needed to be completed. Inspect the pit. See the unnatural of its violation. Proof of my words. Approach me and die.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't remember all that.
Actually, that does sound very familiar. I just didn't understand what he meant by the worms at the beginning. Now, thinking back on it, I remember exactly what the worms were. Those damn things that came out of the ground.
They're what create the spice.
Okay.
But I remember all of us after we killed him, we went, was that a good idea? Because there's something behind this wall here that I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely after the kill, and you inspected the bag, and you found some interesting bits and pieces in the bag, and I believe you came back out to inspect the pit and maybe clear out, try to identify, and indeed you found a lot of bodies in that pit.
All the Irish miners
and such, Irish miners, which is what Al had indicated was going to be a distinct possibility insofar as the claim jumpers, and suddenly a loud thump came from inside the mine. Not knowing what to find, you'll race right back in again, and found sort of a little bit beyond where the creature had been, a boarded up section of the mine with a placard with a bit of blonde hair attached to it, done in some sort of sigil something or other. Nobody particularly recognized what it was. Later you found out from Mr. Elks and such that it was known as a John D symbol, meant to protect, to seal passages. Poking through and looking through the boarded up section, flashes of a bright blue light were seen, and indications of some sort of large critter of some sort scuttling about. Maybe taking caution to the wind, or caution to the chest, headed back out, going, well, that wood barrier looks pretty sturdy, and started to make arrangements for the bodies and such, which took some time. We'll be honest with that. It's not the easiest thing to arrange quietly the sort of appropriate identification and removal of what turned out to be some 25 odd bodies, because not only was it the bodies of the miners, it was the bodies of the other posse. After a day or two of kind of riding about and kind of getting things fixed, talking a little bit more with Mr. Elks, it was agreed upon that the mine needed to be sealed up a bit better. And the only people that had sufficient training in hard rock mining was at yet a different mine in a different location, the Providence mine, to the west of Coldwater. At this point, it gets a little bit difficult to describe in one easy flow what happened, because the party started to
Just when they start to split up.
split up just a wee bit. Meanwhile, other indications, once getting back into town and such, Walter's spidey senses started going off on things concerning a mysterious salesman who seemed to go by various different names, selling odd trinkets, which more recently has been noticed to have thin silver fine wire, at least in one example, in the crystal of what seems to be the common thread of these trinkets, whether they be a dream catchers or wind chimes or just some sort of little tchotchke. They all seem to have some sort of glass or crystal bit in them. So that's something that has sparked an interest with Walter, as well as the tale of the old 59, a train wreck story, which is corroborated in the newspapers, but evidently, even though the train never got to Coldwater, got indications, at least from the train manager, that he has seen this train show up at the station in gory detail. Meanwhile, part of the party went to get the attention of these two hard rock miners at the Providence mine, and the rest of the folks started to poke around a little bit more, try to get the old bank sort of set up in preparation for sort of the second portion of Dr. Trout's inheritance, not knowing exactly what to expect, but Dr. Trout spent a bit of money to sort of beef up the doors and windows and kind of prep it for a place where one could do some business in just not purely empty rooms and such, as well as to inspect the farmhouse that he had. The farmhouse turns out to be a very generous sized building, certainly large enough for all the members of the Danger Six to hang out in, plus a few more possibly. But something strange happened next door. Walter, why don't you describe the strangeness of next door?
Well, to be fair, Prudence took over, and I don't think I went far into the house, unlike my compatriots, but it's a very odd building. As I believe there's a smell of burnt things all over, but everything looked brand new and not lived in, and had a strange texture, like nobody had lived there, but the place had been set up for someone to live there, but nobody actually ever did. And same thing like with the outside.
But you knew that on later asking around towns that indeed
it was apparently
that
burned to the
property
ground.
was, had a family, blah blah blah.
Yeah, he did, and but there was no one there. It was completely empty. It was very strange. Like I said, I didn't actually go in. I decided to be cautious and had a bad feeling about the place. But my colleagues went in. I believe Dr. Trout and Edward both explored part of the house. I don't think they went into the basement.
No.
Went upstairs on the main floor.
Edward, why don't you describe what you all found in this neighbor's house? Since you all
Well, not much. There was no evidence of anybody being there. There were some metal pieces that looked like they'd been fused or melted. But if I recall correctly, it looked like everything had been cleared out for the most part.
Do you
It
recall
looked like
what
it
types
looked
of
like
metal?
it looked like it was what a house is supposed to look like. It had all the for example, we went into the kitchen and it had pots and pans and forks and table settings but it didn't have a lick of food. No no grains of rice or wheat. No rat droppings or anything. Just no like it was unnaturally clean. Every house has dust in the corners.
Found a wedding dress and a suit with 2 gold lumps that could have been rings in the master bedroom. Second room, 3 lumps of brass and 3 beds, like for 3 children. That's what my notes say anyway.
Were there other clothes, or were those the only clothes, though?
I think that was it.
I think that was it. The way you described it.
And so when we went to the outbuildings as well, it was the same thing, where there was a chicken coop with not any indication that a chicken had ever been in the coop, which doesn't match what we knew. That it's that was a working farm. The barn didn't have any hay in it. It was just a barn. So, and as Walt described, the texture of the buildings were odd, like rough or like burlap.
Even though they appeared to be smooth, door was painted white, that kind of thing, but it had a husk, near coconut outer shell kind of feel or sensation to it.
So the longer we were in there, the more, and of course Walt was unnerved from the start.
Unmanned is really
Unmanned,
probably the better description.
So he didn't even go in, and we got to the point where it's like, well, should we go in the basement or the root cellar? And we thought, maybe not until the rest of us are.
Yes, then the case of heebie-jeebies had spread.
So we decided we would leave because there was a knocking at the door, and it was a kid from town who said, "I saw the note on your door that you were over here." We had left no note on the door, and I needed to rush back to town because there was a woman going into labor, and thank God she was healthy baby boy.
Thank God you rolled some luck.
Hopefully they'll name him
on your die roll.
I was not gonna have, I was gonna have 0 luck to get through to pass that test. Hopefully they'll name this young man Gabriel, a fine Christian name.
There you go.
And a Hebrew name too as well. So so we went over. So the boys went over to the house to check on the writing on the door, which the kid said that the writing was we're next door in the neighbor's house or something like that. And then you guys went over to the door and saw something different.
Edward, I think you made a decent facsimile or copy down of what was found on the door.
Yes. I gotta find my notes.
The keeper's like, you guys need to take electronic notes, damn it.
Well, kind of did. I'm just trying to find. I didn't organize it very well. The note said, we feel a kinship to you, Doctor. Bring the killer to us, and let our soul rest. Bring us holy peace, or bring us down if you think you can.
Geez, with the pronouns, even in 1876.
Yes.
So bringing that back to town, Walt did a little bit more digging on the next door neighbors. Found that that neighbor, who hasn't been seen in quite a while, seemed to have a lot of luck. He's a very lucky fellow, and evidently that luck rubbed up against perhaps a slightly more unhinged fellow in town. And Walt tracked down that fella and found him now to be, in effect, one of the new town drunks, and raving about what, Walt?
Well, he's raving partly because I set him off. Asked him good questions. He was raving about how the person with unnatural good luck who lived in the strange house the whole house had burned to the ground, and that's what happens when you call down a demon or a devil. And he had what's coming to him, and he didn't give us much more before he passed out. And I contributed to his passing out because I bought him good alcohol instead of the really bad stuff. So definitely a grudge there. But apparently the house grew back.
So while this was going on, Vance and Gustav and Christopher had made it up to the Providence mine after going through the Hidden Box Canyon, noticing a couple strange things. One, more, I don't want to say casual observation, but something hard to prove or disprove, whether it's part of just shifting of mental memories concerning the stresses of the last couple days. But in your mind, at least, or at least in Christopher's mind, some of the landscape as you went through Hidden Box Canyon seemed to change slightly. While this was happening, Vance also noticed that his horsey friend that had kicked him, of which Vance had been carrying around a chunk of horse bone, or was it horse heart? Horse
It
bone?
was it was a horse rib.
Yeah, rib. Has been following him around at distance. And while going through Hidden Box, they came across some unfortunate miners. And these miners were of the undead type of miners.
Marshall, you said that they were not harrowed.
Correct.
They were kind of shambly, animated dead people, not the cursed, really, really violent.
Yeah, the harrowed. It's possible for a harrowed not even to know that it's harrowed. It might live an entirely normal life for years before realizing that they actually aren't alive anymore. So the harrowed are very functional. You can use guns, can maintain a job, etc., etc. These were not that kind. These were sort of your classic George Romero style
Shambling masses.
Shambling masses. That's right. And thankfully, relatively quickly dispatched. You learned very quickly that the movie cliches. Of course, you haven't really seen movies, but shoot them in the head seems to work good. And you made your way up to the Providence mine after dispatching these critters. You met two peculiar older miners. Explained the situation. They had already had some exchange of information with Swearinger. Swearinger is one who kind of gave you the hint that, hey, these guys might be able to help. And for a relatively small exchange of money and the agreement that some of y'all would stay back at the mine, one would head up to Etna with one of you all and basically take care of the demolitions. So Christopher went ahead and took the job of heading back to Etna with old Pete, I think it was, or whatever, well, one of the guys, and Matt, the other miner, stayed on at the mine with Gustav and Vance. Gustav, so the first night you were there, you did a little poking around in shall we say, personal property.
Right. So when we had a free moment, keeping an eye on the door and making sure that we weren't interrupted, I decided, or Vance and I decided to do a bit of spying. So I popped the lock on a foot locker in one of the bedrooms, and found a large tome that had some writing in it. And at first it appeared to be normal family records, documents, property deeds, the normal sort of things that one collects over the years from family members who've had stock holdings and property and that sort of thing. But on closer inspection, it struck us as a little odd. The handwriting was pretty consistent all the way through. And it almost looked like the same person had written it. And there was very little variation in the way the letters and the numbers were written, almost as if somebody had written it in a single sitting or over a course of many years. It was hard to say. And at first, we tried to rationalize it as, well, maybe it's just a copy. Maybe the old one was damaged. Maybe it was burned. Maybe it was soggy and they just had to make a copy. That seems reasonable. But an alternative and much more unsettling explanation could be that the person who wrote it didn't age at the same speed as everybody else. Perhaps they were much older than anyone else. Maybe they had lived many lives, gone by many names. It was hard to say for sure. So we placed it back where it was, and didn't think to call them out on it, because if it was the second thing, it seemed unwise to look our hosts in the mouth and accuse them of being anything other than human. But we sort of tucked that away in our pockets as a, perhaps there's a little more than meets the eye here.
You recall that the paperwork also, the ink being pretty consistent, but the paper itself, was appropriate to the age of the date
Sure.
marks. Especially some of the older paperwork, all of it had like watermarks and stuff on it. Very tough to fake, kind of thing. And you also notice a lot of interesting older stuff hanging on the walls of this house. An old Scottish claymore, a blunderbuss,
An original
antiques.
copy of the Magna Carta.
I bought that when it was new.
That's right. It's nice.
One owner.
Frame
That's
it
a one
sometime.
owner Magna Carta.
But certainly these guys have been well-to-do and such. But some of the items or antiques seem a little out of place for what you would at least stereotypically think of some old 49er miners.
Right.
So
Perhaps they were a bit more well-traveled than you might expect.
yeah. Early the next morning, Vance and Matt decide to go and get the wagons and some of the other material from Hidden Box Canyon, of where they had dispatched the shambling miners from the day or so previous, leaving Gustav alone to
It was a hone demise.
to really more watch over the property more than anything else. Wasn't expected to go do any pickaxe swinging or anything along those lines.
Just felt so darn safe.
That's right. But curiosity getting to the better of him, and if I recall, the evening before, you all had, right after finding the paperwork, you decided to go check out kind of the mine entrance while the miner was actually working the mine, and you found all the tailings and such from the mine, but the tailings were put out into some peculiar patterns. Vance, do you want to describe those patterns at all, or?
Sure. Climbing up onto the roof of the stall where the horses were kept. Wasn't necessarily a barn, it was more of an open stall. We could look out across the distance in the fading light and see how they had taken all the tailings from the mine and put them in rows of a certain peculiar designs. And I took sketches of those designs that I figured I was going to share with the group once we all got back. It wasn't like they just dumped it. It was purposely set in certain patterns across their lands. Some of them being close to like 200 feet, going back and forth according to my notes and my little illustrations.
Yeah, there were macro design. It's not quite like the big patterns down in South America or whatever.
No, nothing like that. But yeah, they were smaller, but it was still a lot of area that was covered with these different designs. We never really talked to. Well, we mentioned it to Matt that they were very orderly with their tailings.
And he agreed, but didn't.
Nothing else was really given from that.
Correct.
Nothing was really gleaned. He just agreed.
And so Gustav, curiosity perhaps getting a little better to him, but also having a profound sense of oneness with the land, a sense of peace that he hasn't encountered in quite some time. Beautiful night of sleep he had the night before, and decided to wander down into the mine by himself.
One of my better ideas, I have to say. I got to give myself credit. So feeling strangely comfortable, and definitely throwing caution to the wind, I ventured into the mine by myself, leaving behind my common sense and any extra lamp oil. So I wandered in there for many hours, interested in just poking around and seeing what I could see. Wandered for a bit and found that the mine was much more elaborate than I initially thought, and found some kind of ladder contraption where there was sort of ropes and steps that were moving back and forth. That was a very simple mechanical elevator as a means to go up and down a steep part of the mine. Traversed it without breaking my neck, but continued to go deeper into the mine. I felt something maybe pushing me on, and not it didn't unnerve me at the time, but perhaps it should have. I did find a small body of water, well, small being relative, a fairly large body of water defined underground that appeared still. It had a raft, and I figured I could get across with a pole and a little bit of luck, and I did. And I afterwards came to a place where I found one of those obelisks that we've discussed before. And it was the first one that I had seen up close, and it had markings I couldn't quite read, and there were other shapes and carvings nearby that seemed to something to do with time. And at that point, I realized what time it was, and that I was hungry, and that I had been gone most of the day, and that eventually somebody would probably notice that I was gone. So I decided against going too much further. And also being the superstitious sort, that started to get the better of me. I don't know what kind of magical traps or things are living down there. So I decided to make my way back, which is where things started to go terribly wrong. So when I approached the lake, out of the shadows, I was approached by a figure known as the Baron. Let's see, I have him. I have to refer to my notes. His name and appearance were a bit unusual. It was Baron Frederick.
Frederick Lesor.
Yes, Frederick Lesor. So, knowing from general sort of occult knowledge later, as it was explained to me, that barons are guardians of perhaps crossroads. As to what that crossroads would be, I don't know. I don't know what the lake represented. But the Baron tried to engage me in conversation. I was not perhaps in a talkative mood. He asked me questions and prompted me with things, and I decided to perhaps maybe visit him at a later time and to paddle wildly on the raft, which seemed to have offended him a bit. And he talked about tribute and paying proper respect. I didn't have my checkbook on me, so I didn't render any payment. And as he became amused at my reaction and then perhaps a little bit agitated, he said some things like he had let me through this time, but that I would have to render payment in the proper respect the second time, that he thought he would see me
Render
again.
tribute.
Render tribute.
Payment.
Render tribute. and that the second time would be different, and I would have to render this tribute. And then he said he withdrew his protection, and that is when things really went south. The still water started to bubble and roil, as if there was something beneath the surface. I can't be sure whether it was really happening or just a trick of my mind. And in that respect, I can't be sure whether or not the Baron was really there or was just a manifestation of swamp gas. I certainly didn't reach out to touch his hand to find out. I did make it to the other side, a bit shaken but unharmed, and it was then that my lamp left me, and my senses left me, and I was stumbling in the dark for hours with only a box of matches to guide me. I encountered two creatures I can't quite describe, humanoid in nature, but with long tongues and long fingers and sort of cave-dwelling, caveman-like creatures. I strongly had to fight the urge to shoot them. Something in the back of my mind told me that if I just let them be, they might pass me by like a feral dog sniffing at me and as I'm in his territory, that if I just don't present a threat, that he would just continue on his way. I just had the sinking feeling that if I fired at them, as every ounce of my being called me to do, that it would perhaps not end well for me chiefly, but perhaps for any of us. And fortunately, that instinct paid off, and I continued on my way. And I was oh so grateful to find that Vance and Matt were indeed looking for me, as I had been missed, which warmed my heart and perhaps the front of my pants a little bit. And I was very grateful to go home to a warm meal and a place to sleep that wasn't full of barrens and cave creatures and
Stalactites.
stalactites and boiling swamp water. And looking back, it was a pretty foolish thing to do. I definitely could have just been never found.
You recall that one of the feelings that you came away with after leaving the cave was that there was a potential opportunity somehow down
potential opportunity to bring back someone important to me, a lost loved one. I couldn't quite explain it other than it was just a feeling in my gut. It wasn't spoken to me, but that there was some opportunity to bring back an important person to me. But I didn't get into how that might be done or whether it involved the Baron or the obelisk or some combination thereof. But it stuck with me that, as dangerous as my little excursion was, that perhaps if I went back or if I went back with others, that this opportunity could be taken advantage of. And that is still in the back of my mind, calling me back, even though my better senses tell me not to go.
Having gotten out of the mine and kind of gathered everything back together, Christoph came back from the Etna mine with a fair amount of strangely similar information insofar as finding another obelisk, the obelisk that Gustav found and the one that Christoph found, having similar carvings on it in Latin, with the exception of one saying, I believe it translated as air, and the other one as water, or atmosphere and water. And his that he found with the help of Mr. Elks, with a lantern of some sort that evidently came from the president of the current bank in Coldwater, and probably at this point returned back to the president of the bank. And this lantern having the capability of illuminating into rock by at least several feet, and somehow revealing something that would be buried behind rock and such like that, and evidently possessing some peculiar ring that allowed Christoph and Mr. Elks to walk through solid, or well, rubbled stone without having to move the stone. What these obelisks absolutely mean or not, you're not 100% sure yet. During the ride back, and I believe, Vance, you can confirm this as well, you found that even though Mr. Elks had revealed that he was a member of the stonemasons, and certainly from things that you've gathered, that seems accurate. Evidently, there are subsects of the Masons, and one of them being the sure, I don't have it right in front of me. Sons of Abraham.
Yep.
And evidently, these Sons of Abraham are looking for signs and potents, at least according to the miner, concerning the end of the world. How true is that? Come on, end of the world. The world's been around for 6,000 years. And so you kind of got that. So finally, everybody kind of got back together. Right as you kind of got back together the night before, back in town, Edward and Dr. Trout experimented perhaps with the first of the uncle's items or trinkets that had been delivered a few weeks beforehand, along with some of the very first bits of information concerning the uncle's passing. Edward, what was your experience with this candle lantern?
Well, it was. I don't have very good notes on this one, but I remember it pretty clearly because it wasn't that long ago.
Dr. Trout, you can supplement if you like.
Yeah, it was kind of a almost a trippy experience, as it were, and we kind of were lost in this. I mean, everything opened up, and it was almost like we were transported somewhere else. And the whole experience took several hours, and we came out of it with knowledge. Doctor, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm pulling up my notes.
Okay.
I opened in the wrong folder, the wrong file. Yeah, the candle is like this kind of a shadowy lantern, shadow lamp. Center candle is a normal candle, and then outside there's one black candle per person using it. We're down after our little adventure. We're down to 8 tapered candles left, the black candles. Yeah, when we lit it, it sort of put us in sort of a hypnotic, hallucinatory state, or some sort of where we maybe had a little bit more. We had visions, and we were sort of in a trance-like state. I think Larrabee said he came in on us while we were in that state, and he said the room got really cold, right, like 20 degrees, significantly colder, where you could see your breath, and that coldness stopped right at the door frame, so you could walk into the room and it would drop, and then walk out of the room and it'd be back to normal. And we because of our trance-like experience, we were able to get a little bit more knowledge or understanding of hex slinging and arcane, stuff. so I haven't quite sorted out in my head what to do with that. Seems like Edward is a little bit more curious about that than I am. I'm cautious because of my family history and the death of my wife and daughters at the hands of some huckster. So anyway, after that we did some we went you want me to move on to the items and our deciphering things?
Yeah.
Anything else on that? Okay. So what we discovered. So finally, my uncle's collection of oddities came in. It looks like most of a large part of the shipment was these plates. These plates that have these inscriptions. And looking at my very, very, very modest Hebrew, I was able to discern that the inscriptions are kind of intended to protect or shield the contents of the boxes or the room that they're going to line with from discovery. It appears as if my uncle arranged for enough of these plates to be delivered to sort of line the walls of the bank's underground vault. So I think the concerning thing for me is that these objects, and there was a whole there's an inventory of the objects, and it was like Cleopatra or like Marie Antoinette's mirror and Ben Franklin's pen and other just sort of objects from people that you recognize, people of importance, and kind of mundane objects. But my uncle spent a lot of time, obviously, and probably considerable expense assembling these items, and he's taken a lot of precautions to protect them. And assuming this magical mumbo jumbo, which I would have called mumbo jumbo up until, well, probably Gettysburg, and certainly up until some of our recent discoveries, if these inscriptions work, it's maybe a little concerning why he would want to conceal these objects from those seeking to find them. So, which would explain a little bit of his caution about setting up the bank vault. For my part, for caution, I've arranged for sturdy doors to be put at the bottom of the stairs and in the vault. Reinforced doors with heavy locks. And I've also see anything else, Edward, about the objects? I mean, my uncle sent me a lantern that's powered by ghost rock. That's unusually light. I got it the day after we returned from the cave and the darkness episode. So and with the note said, I have a feeling you'll be needing this. And I'm thinking, yes, I would have needed it about a day ago. So the timing on that didn't work out quite so well. It's powered by ghost rock. I think it still have some left. What other objects did I get?
Yeah, Edward, you've gotten the feeling from looking through the ciphering, for you to fully kind of flesh it out, it's going to take you quite a few hours worth of work. But you have determined that just on the cadence of it and some of the initial things you pulled out, there's probably a good 20 items at least that are described here in some way, shape, or form. You were able to pick out some easy ones on the cipher that night, but some of the other ones a little bit tougher. You haven't found, the golem was a surprise, or the rock thing, whatever the hell it is, the big blobby thing. You got the impression, at least, that each of the smaller boxes must contain at least 2 or 3 things each, because there was 8 smaller boxes. And that largely brings us up to date. Is there anything else that needs memory filling or jogging in that you all feel? Anything where you're like, I remember this kind of being important, but I don't remember the details? Mr. Keeper, can you fill us in?
There was one other thing on the there was one of the big crates had a statue.
Yeah.
It was a large. Okay, yeah. So yeah, and that was just last episode. So I don't think we.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we never. Just to confirm, despite my network of spies, so to speak, we never did. The Tinkerer guy never showed up. I've gotten multiple people asking to let me know if he ever shows up, and I've probably the last 3 or 4 days, and supposedly he was overdue. So I just want to make sure I didn't miss him. He's the person whose last name changed depending on who you asked.
Yeah, I mean, you've only been back in town for 2 days, and you already made inquiries about it. So it's only been 48 hours since you've made those inquiries. So
all right, just seems longer. That's fine. And I got a cool jacket.
Yes, and you picked up some cool things at Gilmore's Glorious Goods.
We sure did. So whenever Dr. Trout goes, whatever outfit he puts on for the day, We're gonna be compadres.
Um,
That could get really old.
so. Clearly, one of the first things that you get the impression from the instructions, Edward, if you could roll another cipher roll for me, please.
Sure. Oh, I actually don't have that. There we go. No. There we go. All right. Ooh, barely made it, but I made it.
Okay, great. Well, that's good. So you've kind of picked apart in effect, the instructions on how to use these large, thin copper plates and such, which clearly turn out to be the inner linings of not only the 3 larger boxes, but also all the smaller boxes have a similar lining. And you get the impression that the big boxes are clearly for like walls, ceiling, perhaps even floor. And the smaller bits are for like fill-in locations, perhaps the inside of the door to the vault, that kind of thing. And again, looking at these brass plates, copper plates, similar to the symbol that's hopefully still hanging on the boarded up section of the Craven Mine, but of a distinctly different feel or flow in the sigils. These sigils on these plates are much more like the visions that Edward and the Doctor had while using the shadow lantern, whereas the copper thing found on in the mine perhaps rings a little bit more of a bell to what Walter drew of
12-sided star.
the sigil from the saloon in Wirt. So the plates all have holes where it appears to be quite easy to simply drive some copper nails, to affix them to the walls. You don't get the impression that you would necessarily need to hire any help to do this. Matter of fact, it would probably be really difficult to explain what the hell these guys were putting up if you did hire somebody else to do it.
Yeah, money tends to make inquiries go away. Pay enough, people they'll just say, "Whatever you say, sir."
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll certainly leave it up to you whether you want to hire somebody to do it or whether between the 6 of you,
We should do that sooner than later.
especially since you've already opened up some of the boxes. The large box with the stone thing in it, that's already opened. Yeah, you can tack that back closed again, you suppose. The other large boxes largely just seem to have, at least one of them just had more of these copper plates, right? Just to fill in the walls. The third one that you are you continuing to open up? Let's before I start forcing that subject. What would you all like to do? That would be the more appropriate approach.
So I'm okay with opening things up, but as long as we're going to start tacking those things up on the walls to
Yep.
so
Okay, Edward does warn you all. It's like, okay, well, once we start peeling these things apart, we're going to need to make one big box. So we're going to have to open up all this stuff pretty much at once if we're to contain it like it's contained as received in Coldwater.
well, I think are we gonna move stuff into the basement and secure the basement?
Yeah, you're going to have to haul
Yeah.
all the stuff down the steps and such as well.
Most of it's not a problem. The statue's the big problem.
The statue's going to be, I mean,
Dave said he'd get it.
I
He
know
doesn't
Walt
have to-
Larrabee's afraid of a lot of things. Perhaps hopefully he's not afraid of hard work.
Actually, that's at the top of my list.
well, I believe
Hard labor gives me makes me stay up at night.
a couple of y'all have a we'll meta down to game terminology, like strength
Respectable physiognomy.
of what, 75 roughly?
David
65
the
for
highest.
me.
Not me.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Well, that's a Gustav.
I have
You're pretty bulky.
75 in strength.
He's strapped.
I got 55, but I got a bum leg.
I got a 50.
Vance,
65.
you're close.
65, yeah.
Yeah, Edward, you're close as well.
Yep,
I think
65.
between the
We're
three
all a
of y'all,
respectable average.
between the three of y'all, I mean, it's not 1,000 pounds or anything. It's it's
Only like 950.
but it's and you're going downhill technically, right? Down the steps.
Let's do this.
All right.
So
Get your luck ready, boys.
yeah, I was going to
Nobody
say
wants to get
so.
crushed under a cursed statue.
Might be easier with
It is
what do they
tasted
call them
blood.
things?
Laborer?
Block and tackle. I don't know. I saw some people using stuff like that.
Yeah, there's not a really great attachment point on the main floor going down, but you could probably rig something. Some sort of
There's got to be a main support post
When
in this
the hell
place.
else are you going to get that to use that rope use roll, right?
that's a good point. Yeah,
Oh,
you
shit,
could
I got
probably
5%
swing
of
by
rope
and
use. Let me see if I can figure this out.
you could probably swing by and pick up a block and tackle and a snatch block and attach it to the central support of the main floor
Yeah.
if you want to go.
Look, I
If
tell you
you
what,
will extra
I'm going
I'm
to
42. I'm going to do that.
I'm gonna take a bed sheet and I'm just gonna go out and grab a couple of strong guys and rent their time. We'll throw a bed sheet over the top of it and cover up the other stuff and get a couple.
Perhaps we
get a
should
couple
keep it
strong people.
amongst ourselves, though.
It might be better to do it amongst ourselves because then you don't have rumors flying around town.
Gustav's a migrant laborer. Let's just ask him to do it.
It's
His
I can
last-
tell
his
them
name's
it's
funny.
a tasteful nude. Okay. All right, let's give it a try.
All
I
right,
will head over to the general store to see if that is available.
sure. Well, you've heard rumors that almost anything's available. If I remember, actually, somebody had a shopping request that would be ready the next day.
Yes, that's me. I've ordered a pair of two pairs of
Right.
binoculars.
Yeah.
Do
Two
you
pairs
want
of binoculars
Scopes.
and a metal. Oh yeah, we didn't get the stonemason to dig out the time got for some reason I was in that shop a little longer than I expected.
That's right. I remember that. Time is a little dodgy in there, as I recall.
You just sort of get carried away. All kinds of curiosities in this town.
Yes. Do you want Vance to see if when he's there at the store to see if your binoculars are available?
No,
How is that going to help us move a
No,
statue?
I'll pick it up. Right now we need to focus on getting this stuff out,
Okay.
assembled in the basement.
So Vance, you head on
Hey,
over.
Vance, when you go out, grab a couple hammers and some. Were there nails that came with it? You said copper nails or something?
Yeah. You do find a small a box full of about almost 100 copper nails.
Wait, is this downstairs room, I presume, is it cut into the stone or is it masonry, the walls? How are you going to put copper? I mean, it's good for wood, but how are you going to... you're talking about the basement room of your bank, right?
Yeah.
Which is presumably stone or masonry walls. So how's copper going to work on that?
You basically drive two nails in at once, and the pressure of the nails push up against the masonry, and that largely keeps it there.
Okay.
That's how the wood's hanging on the concrete in my basement in my garage. It's working.
Okay, so Vance is gonna go try to secure some blockage and tackling.
Okay, yeah, easily enough. Say you pick up a block and tackle. That's pretty common. Maybe a snatch block, which is just sort of one half of that, just so you can do it at an angle, so you're not like right in front of the things that you're moving, and some additional rope and such. no big deal. A handful of dollars and it's yours. You could have probably have just simply borrowed it from almost any barn, but whatever.
Or no, it might come in handy
True.
pulling bodies out of ravines.
So you get your material and you saunter back. It is we're still midday, and you rig up something onto the main post of the central floor, and yes, rope handling.
Oh, rope
Rope
use.
Who's actually got points in that?
No, we've all got. I've got a 5. That's
Yeah, so probably not. But
I have a
you know,
15.
You're in charge.
Most experience.
well, this is non-pressure,
Yeah.
so you roll with advantage.
Oh, good.
Are we all rolling or just Vance?
This
If
will be my
somebody wants
advantage.
to
He's,
help,
he's
that
in
would be-
charge.
Holy smokes. I only have to spend
80 points.
11 points.
That's not horrible.
not too shabby.
Brings me down to an 85.
Yeah, it's probably worth the
Put
point.
her in charge.
That way nobody gets crushed.
That's right. And you all start to begin to get this large stone thing down the steps.
I just have this image of us like,
We're all crushed at the bottom of the stairs by the cursed statue.
Pretty much, it comes down to Gustav and Vance and Ed. You three are going to be kind of doing the manhandling. The other three will be on the tail end of the snatch block and such. So if things start to go sour, they have the advantage of the leverage of the block and tackle, because each loop of the block and tackle reduces the weight by 50%, right? So, and you're going down a staircase of probably close to 45 degrees back then. They didn't make little staircases back then. Were pretty friggin' sharp. But that would reduce the weight by cosine 45 to about 30%. So it's not
Unless
too
you're on the
sharp.
receiving end at the bottom.
Would still suck. So each of you please roll a strength roll with advantage.
These are the 3 main people.
Yeah. So this is Gustav, Vance, and Edward.
What about that one? This one.
Success.
Oh, damn. 09, not a problem.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, that's exactly what I rolled.
Waiting
Go
for
off.
Gustav to sign in here. Your answers, please.
Yeah, 9.
9. Okay. Well, dang. All right.
2 9s, and what did you get, Edward?
I got a 9. I'm looking at it.
What? You
Yes.
all rolled 9s? Holy shit.
that's like what, 1 in 100 times 1 in 100 times 1 in
We took
100.
those 9s.
You guys, we
put them
could. Somebody
together.
could hit the lotto tonight, but you wasted it on rolling freaking 309s.
Because I had a 79 or a 09. And so since it was with advantage, it became a 09.
If we took
Okay,
if we
that
take those
is-
9s, put them together, and turn them upside down,
Satan.
Satan.
that dad. Oh, you guys smell bird smoke? Oh shit!
It's just me. Farts. Oh.
Yeah, nothing.
It's
That
those
was a mighty
beans from that-
exertion.
From the Providence mine still catching up on you. Whew. Strong beans. So okay, yeah. In a surprisingly short period of time, you managed to get this pretty heavy stone statue thing.
Sorted.
Down the steps, down the 90-degree turn, down to the bottom, and you're like, that wasn't so bad.
That wasn't such a chore. It's Miller time.
I don't know what everybody was bitching about. And for good measure, the second box with the extra large brass panels at this point, I guess you call them. you guys are feeling so good that you also grab that one and get it down. You don't even bother pulling it apart and taking them down piece by piece. You're able to grab that.
Tragedy strikes.
Just get that right down
the
there.
third box.
So you have now the majority of the large panels downstairs, as well as the big stone thing, and Rob, leaving one last large box. Do you want to take that third box down straight without opening it, and then just opening it when you get to the bottom, since you got the rig?
You want to release the curse here or down there?
Or down there?
I
Really,
think in the
it's your
basement's
choice,
probably better. Just, if there's going to be a curse released in a basement, seems like a better idea than on, street level.
Hey guys, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Famous last words.
Gustav shoots an intestinal loop through his diaphragm.
Just an endless font of lava and screams.
That's right.
Dr. Trout, he treats us all for inguinal hernias.
Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure. Let's do that. Gustav, give me a luck roll.
Oh. A luck roll or a dumb luck roll?
Luck.
Don't roll 100.
Luck roll would be easier.
I would imagine at this point you pretty much just don't want a critical failure.
That's why I said don't roll 100.
Well, since my luck is 100, 59 will do.
Yeah. Okay.
0. No.
And you get the third large box down without a problem. While that was all going on, trying out the other 8 smaller boxes, they got the classic kind of nails into the wood with like little rope kind of handle kind of things, and you kind of pick them all up, and they're all very reasonably weighted to take downstairs. Nothing that requires a roll or anything. So you get everything down into the basement. Now the basement is darker than the main floor, right? The main floor during the day had plenty of window coming in through, or sunshine coming through the windows and such. The basement is in effect pitch black except for whatever lighting you bring down.
Where did I leave the roller skate?
Yeah, and the clown horn.
Is it on the stairs?
I think there were like 2 or 3 hurricane lanterns down there. First time you were down there. So you can light those up, and you get kind of dimmy light. Now that you've improved the doors and such, the smoke from the hurricane lanterns kind of lingers a little bit more than perhaps it did in the past. You might want to figure out some improved lighting at some point in time if it turns out that you're going to be
Ask Gilmore.
spending any time down here.
Can I get? It's cool.
And so what you got 8 small boxes and 1 large box. What would you like to open?
Open the
We'll
big
just
one.
call the small boxes 1 through 8.
Let's open the large boxes first.
Yes.
We all
Okay.
step back.
If I remember, you had borrowed a pry bar. Was that correct? From whatever the hell the guys
Kindly
were
offered.
from the
This
uh,
shipping company.
shipping
Morgan's
company,
or
yeah.
something.
Oh, and don't forget to return the dishes and such from your chicken fried lunch that you all had ordered.
Who's
Now our
good?
fingers are all greasy in that last box. Whoop.
That's right. Uh-oh.
Awkward.
Opening
Original
up
crystal
the,
vase from Leonardo da Vinci.
last large box. Sure enough, again, you do find some more of these large copper panels. It occurs to you at this point, you might want to start dedicating a couple people to starting to actually do the mounting to the vault section with these plates. Inside this box, you find a classic dressing mirror on its own sort of hinge kind of thing. So it's this large sort of oval mirror with a stand. The outer edge wood is very finely carved and fluted. It's definitively an antique from your point of view. You can see some worn spots where one would adjust the mirror near the top edge of the oval. The mirror is in very good condition, though. It does not appear to have faded or anything. Edward, you kind of right. Okay, yeah, that seems to match your description. This is, again, somewhat shockingly, according to the notations, Marie Antoinette's dressing mirror.
Oh,
Interesting.
bigger than I thought.
Um,
Does it make Walt look fat?
No,
no, but in
I'm pretty
reading
thin.
the description, Edward, the description, is very sort of, one or two lines, right? It describes the mirror, just physically, it's this tall, blah blah blah, right? Then it makes a sub reference to the Blue Ledger.
Okay.
Doctor, are all the ledgers and such that you received in the post, are they with you here at the
Yeah, I would have said as we're heading over to deal with the boxes, I would have grabbed all the
would you,
appropriate
okay, we'll grab it.
documentation.
Okay, so you find the sort of cross reference points and such. Again, you find a hint leading to the third article of Confederacy, which gives you the ciphering key. Roll your ciphering at advantage.
Yeah, I gotta get practice at this.
Double check.
What the hell? Where is the skill in that?
Where's the skill of ciphering?
Yeah.
I
That
got
would be
a
a-
critical success.
Oh, excellent.
Is that
Oh,
something
really?
we penciled in?
Interesting. Okay.
No.
Hold on
I think you need special training
I'm
for
gonna-
that.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
see if
that
I
would
can-
require specific training. You could certainly be trained by Edward if he was willing. There's no reason why Edward wouldn't be willing, but
why he would be willing?
would not be willing. Why?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no
Yeah,
reason. Why.
I have one word: halitosis.
Um,
I'm not teaching you any.
so the translation goes very quickly due to the level of success that you had. You also make a insofar as the description of it. Again, this whole magic-y thing is you're a little bit yeah, sure, right, whatever. But first of all, it makes a notation that the mirror is always cold to the touch. Do you experiment with that?
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Touch it.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
And sure enough, as you, the wood's fine. The wood is what you'd expect wood to be at whatever temperature of the room that you're in. Blah blah blah. Right. But you touch the mirror itself, and indeed, it's not winter cold. Right. It's not 30 degrees or anything, but it is. Especially on a warm day out there. It's June 1st, right? June 2nd now, actually. It is almost refreshingly cold. You're like, oh, this is nice.
Maybe you should put your
Woo!
face up against it.
Just
Yo.
rest your cheek against it.
You could even roll probably warm water off the surface, and the water would come out refreshingly cold at the bottom of it. Reading on further though, as you're okay, yeah, it is indeed. Hey guys, check it out. It's chilly. Does everybody touch it?
I won't touch it, but I'll pull out my flask and put my flask up against it. So just leave that there for a bit.
Hey, I'll touch it.
Okay, yeah. I'm waiting for Walter to come back.
Walter said he was going to lick it.
Really?
That's right.
It's the only way to be sure.
Gonna do shots off of it.
Okay, so Walter, you're done licking
You
the
can do it.
mirror, and
He's oblivious.
I don't think he heard that. Come on.
Well, no, because he doesn't have his headphones on.
Oh yeah. Tune in, Walt. You're
Walt
fading out like an
Larrabee.
episode of the Tholian Web.
I think we just need to hold up a sheet of paper that says, Walt, put your damn headphones on.
Hi, Walt.
Hey, my dog came off my lap. My
So-
dog doesn't move for many people for many things, so she gets my attention when she actually moves. What's up?
So, Walt, you get done licking the mirror, and
What?
We dared you. We double dog dared you. You had no choice.
That's great when I die horribly.
the question is, do you touch the mirror after Edward says, "Wow, cool! It's supposed to always to be cold to the touch."
No. I mean, come on. This is creepy stuff.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, to put it down, of course, I would touch the mirror first and then, put the bottle up against, or the flask up against it.
Righto. Okay.
'Cause I don't believe in the strange stuff.
Right.
That defies the laws of physics. So
Edward,
if that heat's
Doctor,
coming
and
cold,
Vance, please give me a power roll.
Feeling powerful.
Do not fall asleep. Do not fall asleep. Do not fall asleep. I do not fall asleep.
Power. Oh yes, I made a remarkably good success.
Hey.
I had a normal success.
Ah, I had a hard success.
All right.
If you succeed, you get to keep your head.
Yay.
Off with their heads.
So, reading on further in the description, Edward.
After we did that.
Supposedly, if the blood of a human is put onto the mirror, one would have the ability to then be able to scry onto that person.
Ooh, interesting.
So nothing about forcing people to eat cake.
Nothing about the right. Supposedly, the
Historical
reflections
reference.
and images improve if the person is either known to the person who's doing the observation, or if the person of the subject of the scry has looked into the mirror or touched the mirror.
We're gonna need blood samples from everyone.
Excuse
reminds me
me.
of the thing.
So I need to
It
make
got to
sure-
the blood.
Okay, so we need to be very deliberate about using these items. The note that the message passed by my uncle to me was, let me read it here. Sorry. Okay, so if all my plans go well and you shine your fortune, I also wish to make sure you get this advice. The court, all caps, is not what it seems. And although much of what you receive you may be tempted to use without concern, there's always a payment to use power. So we need to be extremely careful about, and by we being extremely careful means nobody uses this without my permission.
What do you mean? What's it mean to scry? What's that word? I don't know the word scry.
Detect from afar.
See from afar, basically.
Yeah.
Observe from a distance.
Anybody have
No, this is my character saying
Yeah.
it because this is something I wouldn't have ever heard before.
Right. Of course.
Vance, you've gotten a cult of 25. Why don't you give that a roll?
Small chance.
I have some occults. as I
No,
recall.
74. I'm not going to spend the points.
No, okay. that
never
particular. So, if anybody else has an occult, they're welcome to roll it.
do.
To see if,
And I'm not going to spend 69 luck points to make
I'm not spending 66 luck points to make it.
Come on, I'll give you 10. How's that?
Looks like everybody failed.
everybody failed. Okay, so from the spelling and such, and Edward, I'm going to give it to you insofar as a general understanding of, evidently, even from sort of a Halloween kind of thing, women used to look into the mirror at midnight on a Halloween, and it would show the image of the person who they will be married to, and that was known as scrying. So it's something to do with being able to see images of other people. We'll go further into that when or if you ever
Anyone
decide
made
to
a
touch
frickin'
or
roll.
use the mirror again.
Oh no, that sounds kind of interesting. I mean, heck, if you think about it, Gabriel, we could, a couple of us could go out and you could have our blood and you could keep tabs on us.
But we decided to go in 6 different directions again. Yeah.
So let's just, I think I'm okay with not knowing where you are for a few days.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that you can go ahead and draw blood out of me because I've seen your work and I'm not so sure I want you sticking me with a needle.
You might be okay.
I know how to do this.
So would you like to move on to some of the boxings?
Yes.
Okay, so let's
See what's behind door number 4.
Let's throw a bed
Dib.
sheet over this one, or let's actually turn it to face the wall.
Yeah, and maybe a bed sheet as well.
Yeah, let's go with double. Let's double. I hope maybe are there any packing materials like blankets in these things? And
yeah. There was basically a lot of hay was used.
okay, all right. I need to get new bed sheets. All right.
What you don't want Mary Antoinette's. You should put that in your room right
So
next to your bed.
Are we tacking up the plates? Or because before we open anything
Yeah.
else, let's go
Yeah, I
ahead
thought
and-
we were supposed. I thought that was Edward suggested doing that.
So
Yeah, as fast as possible.
We needed to open this box to get to the plates. So okay, so
Yeah.
we got all the big plates. Let's get them up on the walls. So we'll do that first, Marshall.
Okay.
I'll go upstairs, grab a chair, and bring it down and sit in the corner.
Supervisor.
Let's see here. Oh, what a handyman. Whatever everybody's mechanical repair is, multiply times 2, roll with advantage.
Oh, God.
Because, that's one of the skills everybody throws points into.
Is
Oh,
that
shit.
all of us? I think I actually have points.
Yeah, all of you. I'll even roll for Christopher here.
I have 20 in mechanical repair.
Oh shit! I made an 03 with
Me.
advantage. I made an 03 with the advantage.
I did not.
I spent some luck.
I actually
but-
made a hard success.
Oh, what the hell? I mean, I'll use some luck. That's it.
Okay, Walt, you made a hard success?
Yes, which is pretty impressive given what my mechanical repair
So,
is.
so Walt corrected my. No. You need to hold the hammer thusly.
Pinky out. Always.
Okay,
pinky out.
so between Walt and Christopher, we have quote unquote 4 successes. I
I've got a
need
success.
6 in total.
I have a normal success.
You had a normal
After
success?
burning some
Okay.
wood, yeah.
So, is anybody else willing to spend a little something or other to finish off this project?
Does it have to be the other person, or can it be someone else
I would
trying
need
again?
45 points spent.
Chip, use a chip. This is kind of important.
All right. I'm going to spend 28 points and get it.
Oh, I just got it. Hold on.
Oh.
Okay.
I rolled it. You said roll with advantage?
Yes.
Okay, so I just got a 22 and my mechanical repair is 20, so I'll spend 2 luck.
Fair enough.
Expender.
Because of the nature of this, you all can check off your mechanical repair. So,
That one's bound to go up.
it's a rare
I
one.
did something. I just want to point out that I did something right the first time. I want a little credit for that later.
So it takes about an hour, but you get the plates up. You're pretty happy with the results. The only thing left is the door, which, from the instructions that Edward has translated, will be coming from plates that are evidently part of the smaller boxes.
Maybe we should find those plates and do the door.
Well, yeah, let's open the small boxes.
Okay, doke.
Yep.
So
Don't hear plates in here.
let me read. Edward. Now you're starting to get used to the cipher at this point. So pretty much every time I ask you to roll for ciphering, for this type of for this set of ledgers and such, you can roll with advantage, because you've gotten enough good successes with it at this point. So go ahead and roll me your cipher.
Hard success.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to kind of, much like Marie Antoinette's mirror, right? There's sort of a title and basic description, and then each one of these have a subset, longer reference in either a blue or red journal, right? So the first box contains. Hold on here. Yeah, make sure I don't scroll over anything incorrectly here.
A new car.
A new car. One thing. One box contains 3 vials. One is simply listed as Asher Cobb's vial. The next one's labeled a Martinet of the Dry Hands, or sorry, of the Dry Arms vial. That's Martinet of the Dry Arms. The last one is written in a language which I will shoot to you, and you can try to figure it out. Boop. There you go.
Okay. I will point this out to anyone who might recognize it.
Okay, I will send it to everyone.
Looks like Scandinavian.
That would be a approximate correct guess. Does anybody have a Scandinavian language or anything along those lines?
Edward, don't you specialize in of Scandinavian languages?
No. Some Latin.
Oh, that's how you
Good
got
news
in.
is-
You said you had multiple Scandinavian languages at the interview.
You are in
Catfish me.
American Midwest. There's a shocking amount of first-generation Scandinavians
Yeah.
in the area. Probably more than Germans in the particular area that you're in right now.
What about Sven at the dry goods store? He might be able to read it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
So I'll jot down these words, and perhaps we will find someone of Scandinavian descent that can read them to us, that can translate.
okay. So that's evidently in
3
one
vials.
of the containers. We will simply call that box 1. There is a reference to the boxes. The boxes aren't actually labeled 1 through 8, but
Okay.
for convenience and clarity.
Well, once they're out of the box, are we putting them back? Are the boxes made up of inscription tablets?
Yes, the inside of the boxes are.
All right. Well, do we need the inscription tablets for the outer surface and the doors and stuff?
Yep.
So, okay. So I guess we will carefully place these. I'll go, let's, I got some furniture, some bedroom furniture. So let's get one of the, a bookshelf from up there and bring it down, and we'll start putting things carefully on the shelves. Just something, I don't want to put them on the floor. But if we need the box materials to line the room, we got to put them on something. Okay. So 3 vials: Asher Cobb's vial, the Martinet of the Dry Arms vial, and the Spokelsetsom Ika Constopus vial.
Right.
Next.
All right. Let's open it up here. The next box contains something called Kreskin's Oracle. You don't know what the hell that means. It also contains a jar of wax that's labeled Tussauds wax jar.
Madame Tussaud.
And evidently also contains a set of 10 silver-studded earrings. As well as in the second box, you should find a box of silver dollar coins.
Huh.
In the third box, you see you should expect to find something called Sherman's cigarette case.
General Sherman.
No first names given.
Actually, that's not that. He's probably still alive. Actually,
Yeah, probably. There's also Maledon's Hangman's Noose.
Aladon.
Maledon. That was box number 2, correct?
Yeah, just Sherman's cigarette case and Maladon's hangman noose.
Yeah.
Check.
The third box contains the map to Folly's Hill, the Oracle of the Hallowed Tree.
Huh.
So that was box 4, 3, 4.
Just one map. That's all that's in the box.
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on. Here we go. Box number 4, if I'm correct. Is somebody keeping track of the boxing? So yeah, so 4.
I'm just writing all the stuff down because once it's out of the box, it's
Yeah. Valid point. Supposedly contains George Washington's quill pen
not
and
his dentures.
two lanterns supposedly owned by Paul Revere.
Okay, so
eBay, here we come.
I mean,
okay, so
What's
George
the-
Washington.
Revere was
Bill?
a silversmith.
Oh, and also contains George Washington's candle holder.
I guess you could hold a candle to him.
And his toilet paper roll holder.
And it was a lantern held by Paul Revere.
2
Two
lanterns owned possibly by Paul Revere.
Where's the provenance? Do we have documentation for these?
Well, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, right?
Another box contains simply labeled Norton's Bugle.
Okay.
Next box simply is labeled Miscellaneous Newspapers.
Seems a little incongruous. Oops, sorry.
That's
that was
box 6, 7. I think we're on box
unless,
7.
unless the articles in them are of note.
Got a box with the 3 vials, a box with Kreskin's Oracle and stuff, box with Sherman's cigarette case, box with the map to Folly's Hill, box with George Washington's quill pen and candle holder, box with Norton's Bugle, box with miscellaneous newspapers. I go on. Box
Well,
8.
what about the Paul Revere's lamps? Lamps.
Yeah, no, I didn't list everything. I just said the first
Yeah.
one.
The last box contains 1 chromed revolver.
That was to kill yourself because you dabbled too much in all these boxes.
You dove too deep into the pool of forbidden knowledge.
You went skinny dipping in the deep end.
So now you know more or less what to expect to find. It will take Edward a while to do the cross-referencing to maybe determine what may or may not be special about these items, but that now gives you an inventory of what you've been given, as well as the ability now to kind of pull apart the boxes and such like that. Edward, do you immediately kind of go into the thicker ledgers?
Sure.
Alrighty.
So let's why don't you look up the chrome revolver first?
Okay.
All right.
For lack of any other guidance, let's go with that one. That could
All right. Who opens up the boxes?
That'd be Walter Larrabee, the most curious man in the party.
Which boxes? I thought we hope. Oh, so this is just the contents. We haven't opened them yet.
Yeah,
Kind of have to open all of them to get the plates up on the walls.
correct.
Yeah, I'll open one of them.
Noticeable gaps. All right, I'll open the one with the revolver.
Okay. Opening up that box, you find basically another box within that box that
Troikas.
kind of
Boxes within boxes.
kind of thing kind of reminds you of
Matrushka dolls.
no, it would be about the box. It's a fairly large box in a black ebony wood with a very simple latch, not a lock or anything. And you open it up, and first thing that strikes you is the box is way too big for a single pistol. Any way you look at it, and indeed you see a spot where 5 other pistols could be, but they're empty, kind of almost like moldings, or just sort of
Indentations.
indentations where they could be.
Are we all standing there looking at him open the box?
You're all relatively curious, I would think.
Yeah.
Do the pistol indentations all look identical?
Yes.
So they might have been what they were known as dueling pistols.
Usually they would come in pairs, not 6.
All right. So what's
Unless it was a dueling party.
Mexican standoff pistols.
are these Remington pistols or?
They appear to be
Colt would be the most common, but
they're Colt 45 Peacemaker, so it's the newer the design of the 45s. Dr. Trout, please roll a d6, 1 through 6.
Okie. Roll a d8 and ignore any 7s or 8s. 5.
5. Okay. Interesting.
Did you just-
And
did you just play Russian roulette?
and Vance and Gustav, roll me a no roll.
I believe I am in the know. I rolled a
Funky rounds.
23, which is a hard success.
Regular success.
Regular success and hard success. Okay. While you're looking at the gun, Vance and Gustav, now roll me a power roll, please.
I knew it. I knew the power roll was coming.
28 out of 75. That is a hard success. Oh, because, yeah, no and power are the same number.
All right, I failed. 86 out of 65.
Okay. Hold on one second. Why isn't that working the way I was expecting it to? Hold on here. That should have done that. No. That's not at all what I wanted to do. All right, that was a utter failure. Why didn't that work? Maybe I do this instead. Oh, yeah, okay. So, Vance, you see in a small emblem on the handle of the pistol that symbol. Just as Vance or as Gustav reaches out and picks up the gun to feel the heft of the weight of the weapon.
Look
Vance,
at your temple. See how it feels.
Hey, Gustav.
I don't think I gave you permission to touch it.
Let me see that.
Vance, you recognize that symbol.
I do. I actually sketched that symbol into one of my little notepads here.
I'll reach into my pocket and go, "Can I see that? Put that on the table. Hold on here."
Now spin it.
And I'll flip through to the drawings that I made, and I'll put it down on the table next to it and say, "That drawing there certainly links up to that there." And the drawing is, where's my camera? Well, right
Yeah.
there.
That pretty much matches up with that emblem.
Where was that emblem seen?
That was the layout of the tailings at the mine,
Providence Mine.
So
Providence Mine, that the old men ran.
So we think it's some sort of occult symbol,
Uh,
or some sort of.
it
word?
definitely has some sort of meanings. I would guess it's some sort of occult symbol. Don't really know enough about it. When I saw them, and nothing made sense.
So does it look like that's? I mean, does it look like it's factory? Is it an engraving, or is it just like carved into it?
It looks like a button of perhaps a red jewel with natural flaws in it to form that symbol, and it's embedded into the bone, the white bone of the pistol grip.
So it's a jewel with that symbol naturally occurring within it.
Correct.
That's creepy.
All right.
It might be a coincidence, but
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting.
Were there any rounds with it?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Do they look like a common caliber?
Anything in the box that tells us this is a job lot from Colt, a special lot number 482, lot number 666.
What's the packing slip say?
There's no. It looks like any sort of notations and such like that would be either in the red or blue ledger that Edward's looking through. Gustav, do you pick it back up again? Feel its heft, that sort of thing?
Obviously, I don't have any sense
Hang on a
of
second.
danger or foreboding. I'm going to continue to play with it.
Okay, so the danger foreboding is me telling you. Okay, so don't
No touchy.
no touching
No touchy.
until we're clear on these things.
All right. At that point, I'll put it down.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are all. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting the sense that these are all potentially very dangerous objects. To our eternal souls. Some of you might not care about them, but I'm a fan of keeping in mind. So we just need to do some research and find out more about some of these things before we use them. Everyone agreed about that? If you don't agree, that's certainly you're entitled to that opinion.
Seems valid. I mean, these are your things.
Right. And I'm not trying to be. If I feel we can use them without danger, then that's one thing. I think the concern I have is we don't understand them yet. So you saw that symbol in the tailings. I think I'm getting the sense that one of us, hopefully you, Edward, can sort of get. Maybe we can try to acquire some books that will tell us a little more about the symbologies and runes and glyphs and whatever you'd call them.
You can certainly try.
Protective wards. Wards is probably a good word. Because clearly we're seeing like things like the obelisks. They're coming. We're seeing them again and again. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that symbol is up on that wooden. Did we jot down the symbol on the wooden plate in the mine? The ward with the blonde hair.
I want to say that Christoph did like a brash rubbing of it or something like that.
Which one was this again?
The John D symbol.
Yeah. No, I remember.
No, I think I remember that.
So I think it would. Just saying, we don't have to do it right now for today, but it would behoove us to start maybe collecting some of these symbols for us to do some follow-on research. Like this could be the symbol for, if you get shot with this gun, you're gonna, this is gonna lose your soul. It's like, okay, that's something we should probably avoid. But this one might be, oh, this is for protecting from evil. Okay, that's maybe not so
If,
bad.
if only we had a researcher in the party.
Right. Well, I mean, so I think
Indeed.
Edward, you and I probably need to see about ordering some books if we can that will enlighten us a little more on these topics.
You're far too cautious. I say just go into the cave. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I didn't go
Worked
into
out
a
fine.
on myself either.
Edward, roll a library use roll.
I'm pretty good at library stuff too, by the way.
Hard success.
This would be more sort of memory of the local
I'm
library.
not that good.
Oh yeah, I don't have any of that.
I have a little bit of skill.
But a curiosity, we just happen to have a book on ancient glyphs.
No, but
in the essay office.
you think maybe with some poking around in the library, maybe with some help by Walter or something, an occult reference, section in Coldwater does not particularly exist, right?
Or Dodge.
but perhaps up in Dodge, not so much in their libraries per se, but you do know of some dealers of peculiarity books and such that might need to send out some missives, some letters, and kind of do some probings to get some more information, but certainly within the realm of possibility.
So, can we take a look? Can I take a look at the pistol to see if there's a serial number on it? Because we could certainly send an inquiry to the Colt factory to find out when it was manufactured.
Hey, Colt actually to this day still has records of their almost all their firearms.
Sure.
Yeah, I know that out of game, but it's like, we could, because it sounds like it might be from a lot of 6. Which
in what way do you attempt to handle the weapon?
I will take a handkerchief.
Okay.
I don't touch it at all. I will certainly avoid touching that gem and that symbol. So I'll just pick it up. I'll pick it up by the cylinder with with a cloth. In fact, I'll put on a glove.
Okay.
I'll put on some gloves, and then I will take a handkerchief and just try to minimize. I will not touch it with any bare skin, and I will just rotate it to the point where I can hopefully see a serial number.
As you reach out and come very close to touching it, obviously you have gloves on and such, an arc of blue energy comes flying out of the weapon into your arm. Everybody else can see the doctor jolt hard. Even a little bit of electricity you see shoot from his upper and lower jaw of his teeth as he's doing that.
That's not good.
That's great.
We just electrocuted the doctor.
By any chance the symbol for high voltage?
I meant I was going to put on the electrical insulated gloves before I touch it.
I was about to say, it kind of reminds me of the Alm symbol, but
arc welding. Arc welding. Oh no.
You take
not a
11
pitchfork.
points of damage.
Take
You took how?
damage.
11.
Holy shit! We go stat.
Right, so that's knocked me down to almost half. I'm gonna fall back on the floor.
Wait a minute, half.
Almost.
You said 11?
I have 24.
Yeah,
Oh gosh, that's the used to the old system.
Do I feel like I might be able to give a helping hand?
The new system also, if you lose half your hit points in one shot, extra bad things happen to you.
Well, I'm glad you rolled 11. And by the way,
Yeah, that would have done me. That would have been over half.
by the way, you're a dick. All right, so I'm a sturdy fellow, and I'm going to back the hell away from that and say, all right, gents.
I'm going to give them a once over. First aid.
Right.
37 out of 45.
Okay, that's a good thing. Even after the doctor is no longer touching the weapon, he you even get a little.
By the way, just for the record, I didn't actually come into contact with it.
Correct.
Yes, which is why you took half damage. Which is why you only took half damage.
But even you, as you kind of touch the doctor and kind of whatever, a little spark. There is even now some residual electrical power is absolutely no worse than those kind of shocks you get in the winter when you walk around on carpet and touch some
Yeah,
metal.
and touch something.
Walt,
Yeah.
I can't recall what time it is. Walt, would you grab the pocket watch out of my pocket and
But
No.
that's
That was unexpected.
Well, gentlemen, I posited that these objects are dangerous, and
And I shat myself.
I
well,
may have pooped. a bit.
1d4
Unrelated.
if done immediately.
Oh, 1d4.
I think
Holy
so.
crap!
You get 2 back.
Is he like Wile E. Coyote with like black? He's just like,
So do I look like a cartoon character with like the blackened skin and my hair's all standing up?
Here's up.
Your hair is definitively standing up like young.
Which
Bride
is
of
pretty cool
Frankenstein?
because my beard hair, everything is moving in a different
young
direction.
Frankenstein, young. Oh, is that Yahoo Serious did the film back in the 80s? Yahoo. Fuck, but it doesn't matter.
I can't believe you just dropped Yahoo Serious. That's like, I mean, I thought I was going to go the rest of my fucking life, pardon my language, and never hear those 2 words put together. But Aaron on 2021 just ruined that.
You know, the funny thing is, I know what film you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it either.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah.
Terrible film.
Okay, well,
Just
okay.
it's-
Well, I'm not gonna.
I would suggest you don't touch that.
I don't. I would suggest. So I wonder. Hey, let's test to see if someone else can.
I have a feeling it's like
Well,
imprint-
Gustav picked it up and it didn't harm him.
Is
It
that-
did?
Oh,
I have a feeling it imprinted on you.
Maybe, Doc, you're not the type to hold a weapon like that. Maybe it's a killer's weapon.
I'm certainly not a killer, although I'm quite good with a pistol. Just not.
Maybe the curse don't work on dumb people.
I eye it and go, do I really want to?
I tell you what. Why don't you wait till I'm in a better condition to provide first aid if someone else touches it?
Does it seem like it's a shiny red button?
You know,
I succeeded my pal, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even the concept of quote unquote hell guns and such like that is, what, a few weeks old to you.
Yeah.
You guys were going largely on the assumption of the shells of a weapon. So this possibly expands that concept to, a weapon itself. I mean, the only way that you feel like you can do, any serious experimentation with it would be, okay, it's electricity. Perhaps we can provide wear some rubber shoes or something. Is Gustav willing to touch it again?
Can I make
I mean, there's 6 guns and there's 6 of us. I
No,
say
no.
we load them up and start shooting at each other, and we'll see what happens.
There was a case that was supposed to have 6 guns. There's only 1 gun in it.
Oh, okay,
So
sorry.
can I make keep Marshall? Is it all right if I make a natural roll to see if I can identify the electrical? Just to see if that was if that felt like, I don't know, what I know about lightning and the way it
Oh, sure.
university training.
Yeah. Natural science.
So,
I was about to say, Gustav, pass your hand over it.
so I make that. Did that seem like it was like? Did the fact that I I was grounded or I didn't have the right kind of gloves on? Any insights on what the hell that was? Obviously.
Yeah. You've certainly experienced electrical shocks before, just being in university. If nothing else, professors kind of being dicks and building up a static charge and having all their students touch it and that kind of a thing.
Don't even
man.
ask me about my fraternity's underpants. That was
This somehow singularly different. First of all, a shock like that, wouldn't have, you know, it's one of those things. You get an electrical shot like that, you either recover very quickly and you're not quote unquote hurt,
Or your
right?
heart stops.
Yeah, or your heart stops and basically kills you.
I probably have actually treated someone who was struck by lightning in my medical practice in St. Louis.
Oh yeah, probably, and
touching a metal carriage or something when lightning or
you don't have a burn on you, like on your hand. Your hand isn't scorched.
So how do I feel? Do I feel like I've just been
You feel about 60% of the way you felt 10 minutes ago.
Do I feel like do I feel like my energy has been?
Oh no, you do feel like you were basically physically assaulted by a bunch of people with, you know, soap in a sock and beat the shit out of you.
I'm gonna be incredibly sore tomorrow.
Yes, you're gonna be very, very sore and stiff.
That's okay. You can administer opioids.
So, I mean,
That is true.
You got a case.
So at some point we need to find out. We need to find out more about this gun.
Yes.
And the serial number would help. I don't know, Gustav, if you does Gustav. Let me. Can I get a psychology check on Gustav to see if he's acting oddly? Like if
Gustav.
Yeah, well, he's the one that wouldn't grab
Tuesday.
Yeah, I know, but is he like obsessed with the gun, or am I getting any vibes about that?
Give me a psychology roll.
Is he stroking and saying "my precious"?
No, I didn't make it. So.
Okay.
It's not a bad idea, actually, and I'm pretty good at psychology.
You,
I didn't realize.
Gustav to be somewhat impulsive, and
no, not I.
He does like guns.
He likes hanging out. He likes exploring caves.
And can appreciate a fine weapon, so his action here wasn't terribly out of step.
And he's not, finding himself drawn. I don't see him edging towards the gun or anything, any strange obsessive behavior.
Not at the current moment, no.
So Gustav, what'd you feel when you grabbed the gun? Anything unusual? Any tingling in your fingers or anything?
Sure.
No, it felt like a normal gun.
Felt like, super well balanced.
Like a very well made gun.
Yeah, you're sure it will be a pleasure to shoot.
So can you take a look at it and see if you're willing to touch it, because it didn't seem to hurt you. I'll back away, of course, but
as will we all.
Can you find any? So we'd like to, before we can let you use it, we need to get a little more research to find out if it's gonna, each shot costs you part of your ever-loving soul. We don't want that. But so if we could find any other marks on there, like serial numbers or anything like that from the factory, can you look at it and see if you can find anything like that?
All right.
I have a suggestion.
You don't have to. It could be.
Why don't you have documentation? Maybe it's time to actually crack the books and do as much research as possible on everything before you start touching everything.
Gustav, do you pick up the gun and try to find the serial number?
I've already picked up the gun again at this point. I'm looking it over.
You start doing that scene from like The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, when the ugly finally gets out of the desert and he goes into the store and starts doing the rolling of the cylinder and popping it open and checking its action and all that kind of stuff.
Thorough inspection of the gun.
And examine the weapon. You kind of put the trigger to your ear and you give it a click 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 kind of thing. The whole.
Is he getting a chubby?
Give me your scan.
Once you pull that first click, everything around you goes black. Everything around you, all you see is the gun. And
marvelous, beautiful.
You should really.
You get the sensation. You hear about 30 voices. What shall be thy bidding? Say in unison.
The gun is
how to respond to that. What happens on the second click?
You're at the first click. You hear a chorus of about 30 different voices, mostly men, some women, one child. What shall be thy bidding?
Guessing it was people killed by that gun.
Hmm.
Oh shit!
You don't know.
Oh, I know.
We're not anywhere near that. So what do we see? We see him just.
I mean, I am watching him
He's
very.
just he's looking at the weapon.
this
Yep.
could be like a
Looking at the weapon.
microsecond in time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We don't know. So we're watching. I'm watching him like a hawk, and I do have a fair amount of psychology.
I got
so.
I'm waiting for Gustav's reply.
I don't.
I roll
quite
a
know how to
cigarette.
respond to that. So I can't see anything but myself and the gun, correct?
Correct. Louder. What shall be thy bidding?
Dog, get out of here. This is a dog. I mean,
Gustav's freaking out. He doesn't need a
Dog's
dog in his
worried
lap
about
right
you.
now.
I really don't know how to respond to that. Can I put the gun back on the table, or I can't even see the table?
What shall be thy bidding? It gets louder in your head.
Who are you?
You hear a chorus of 30 different names, just blended together.
Was any of them Gabriel? Oh, there goes the music. I love it.
Who do you belong to?
In a chorus of voices, we're subject to your word.
Serve me.
At this point, you pull the second trigger and the third trigger. 2 bullets shoot up into the air, into the ceiling.
That loaded?
Didn't Vance just go upstairs to take? Uh-oh.
I didn't think it was loaded.
You look at the cylinders, it's empty. There's no shells in there.
By the way, since we're there,
Oh, no,
did we see him shoot the gun, act strangely, or was it just he just went right into shooting the shooting?
Well, yeah, you saw him pull the trigger 3 times, and the second and third time it actually fired, somewhat surprising him. He's now kind of looking at the gun like something very peculiar, perhaps beyond bullets from nowhere coming from this gun. Ding, ding, ding. You hear the door upstairs open, and the little service bell tinkle. You hear footstep. 2, 3, 4.
Oh shit! All right, I'm pulling my gun out.
And that's where
Now
we'll
get-
call it for the night.
Thanks a lot, Gustav.
Anytime.
Way to bring death and destruction, horrible death and destruction on all of
Fortunately,
us.
those 2 rounds went right through the floor and into the foot of the person above him. So